gem, then we're gonna keep it.
That's fine. Look, when it comes to hanging out with Brandi, you just gotta fucking be prepared. You might as well just fucking start recording from the get-go, like candid camera, because you never know, you're gonna get a fucking gem. Where were we? Okay, here's the thing though. Let's talk about. Oh fuck, my headphones are gonna die again. Damn it, they're beeping in my ear.
Are they hardwired?
I have tried to plug the hardwire in and like use them at the same time, but it doesn't work. Yeah, they shut off, so it sucks. And if I have ones that I can plug in, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm super lazy. I have to go through my entire computer and change all of my audio settings because my computer is lame that way. So we'll see. All right. So anyways, here's the thing. Let's talk about this idea because this is capitalistic spiritualism.
Yep.
Right. This is a business. It's a business model. We have to be honest about that. This is something that you pay to go and do. Right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, any business, its main goal is to make a profit and to make a larger profit every fiscal year. Right. Like that's what business does in a capitalistic society. So let's talk about this business as a spiritual business, right? Things start to get watered down. Things start to become streamlined so that they're more efficient, right? Spirituality is not an efficient business. Right. It's not something you can put on a calendar. It's not something that you can quantify and analyze in that way. But it's these types of things that for me get me very much questioning because I'm like, all right, I've been through so much psychological sort of like training and psychological warfare and like learning how to make it in sales jobs. You learn trigger words, you learn how to pay attention to what's going on in somebody's body or in their energy or how they respond to a certain thing. And it becomes something that you do with an automatic bias and with an automatic sort of like, how can I use this reaction to my benefit, right? Like that's something that it just exists in all humans, in all walks of life, no matter what your training is. Now give somebody training. Now add on to that and say, here's what you're going to do to get this person prepared. Here are the keywords that you're going to use. Here are the things you're going to say, right? Like you start like Inception, putting these little seeds into somebody's mind, and then you walk them through a hypnosis session. To draw out regressions and, you know, remembering past lives and even going back into your inner child and things like that. And we already know that memory is flawed. We already know that at best, you remember 10% of any given situation experience in your life, at best. You fully recollect 10%. If you have like one of the best minds, 10% is really fucking good. Most people don't even get that much.
Right.
So 90% of your memories are not true memories. They're just little synapses of things that your brain is piecing together based off of things, right? Like they've done studies on this with people trying to remember 9/11 and traumatic events. Like they get it wrong, even though they are fucking, no, I know for sure it was this. I know for sure. And then they go back and they like fact check and they're like, there's no possible way. So I just have my suspicions when it comes to these types of treatments, therapies, spiritual awakenings, that how much of it is truly, genuinely authentic. I believe that some of it is.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that all of it is. And I think that some people who don't get an authentic experience think that it's an authentic experience and then place a lot of weight on that experience and make true life decisions based on it. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
I can see that. Yeah, 100%. Do you like my little scroller that I made?
I do. That's cute. We have no idea, but we're here for it.
I was starting to try to build like...
By the way, I haven't slept.
Oh?
No, I haven't been to bed.
Aww.
Like, it's insomnia. Welcome to...
It's because the wifey's out of town, huh?
I know. I miss her. Oh, Raquel, I miss you. Yeah, she's in Sao Paulo.
I don't sleep very well when my wife's gone either. Although I do enjoy getting the rest of the bed, but I also hate it then too, right? Like I'll put like pillows and blankets bunched up over there so that if I roll over in the night, I can feel something against me. Do you know what I mean? Besides my cat, obviously.
I'm not gonna lie, I totally sprawl out in the middle of the bed and like starfish.
You're like, what's going on? Nothing, just starfish in it.
Yeah, just ice starfish. Legs open, arms open, mouth open, drool out. Ice starfish. When I get to have the bed, oh, there's nothing better than sorry, wifey. I love you. I miss you. I love when you're here. I love having the bed to myself.
Yeah.
I do.
We whenever we go and we stay with my wife's parents, they have like in their guest bedroom or whatever, they have like a California king, and it's so damn big that like we both could probably starfish, and there's probably room for a third. Like it feels that big, right? And so it's funny because it's like, you know, the first time we slept in there, I was like, oh, this is glorious. Like I'll have a ton of space. She'll have a ton of space. It'll be great. Do you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Oh, I think so.
I was on the left eighth of the bed, and she's on the like the seventh, eighth, or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and then there's just like miles of space on the other side of us, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, there's a whole bed. All you got to do is move over like 2 feet.
No, because wherever you are, she's
Yep.
equilateral to that.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where you go. Yep. She's somewhere within your heat radius. That's the way that works.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to take this back though, because I want to know. So like this hypnotherapy, past life regression, you've experienced this. You've gone through this.
Not that particular level, but I have had hypnosis regression. Yes. Twice technically.
Walk us through that process.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Inquiring minds want to know.
So the first time that I did it was with somebody who was a medium in a place called Lilydale in New York. It's like a really cute small community of nothing but just spiritual people. I mean, that's all it is there. And I don't recall at a certain point. It was like, okay, we're going through the countdown, this and that, and then don't remember a damn thing. Then remember seeing visuals, and then remember waking up out of the visual sobbing because it was so emotional she had to snap me out of it, right? And I'll talk about that in a minute. The second time that I did it, second and third time, I was very conscious the entire time. Like I was half in, half out. Mm-hmm. Now I have grown a lot spiritually between that first time, which was about 20 years ago, and then the most recent ones, which was like 6 months ago, where I'm able to be in both places at the same time, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Kind of like when I lucid dream, I'm consciously lucid dreaming, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, the first one was, all I saw basically was like the Wild West days and somebody dying in my arms. I was holding them. They were dying literally in that moment, and could not see their face, but I knew their energy, right? It wasn't until about a year later, the first time that I held hands with my wife, that I knew that that's who it was. We were just friends, though.
It's got a random.
Oh, you're fine.
Alert in my ear shocked me. I wasn't ready for that. All right.
and so I realized later that that's who it was, right?
Oh shit.
Now I didn't tell her that, okay, but I did tell her that I had a past life regression. It was really cool. Somebody died in my arms. Blah 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 blah. She went back to the same place with me then because we bonded around spirituality early on, and she got a reading. In her reading, she saw her and I in the woods hanging out. Weren't supposed to be. She was married at the time, and husband showed up, who was her husband in this life actually, and shot her just to punish me, and she died in my arms. Different time period, same outcome. And I've realized since through several other readings and things that's happened multiple times where we tried to be together when we shouldn't have been, and the result was one of us dying, which is pretty interesting. But like I said, when I was holding the person in my arms and they were dying, I started to sob so uncontrollably that she woke me up from the regression. And so now these other ones, though, that I've done more recently, which from a woman named Tammy, who I'm trying to get on my podcast, I was more conscious. So she took me through, she like knew that I drowned multiple times because in this life, I've drowned 3 times, like to the point of resuscitation. 2 of them I remember, 1 of them I don't. But it came out in regression, right? um, and so one of them was, a lifetime in Japan. One of them was actually like walking around the oh god, why am I having a brain moment? What do
They
you?
happen.
It's not the Akashic records.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
being in the Akashic records, like where mine are, and things like that. Another one was in Norse times, which then synced up with a lot of the other things I've been told and shown as well. And but those were very like, in both cases they were guided, but very different from one another. The second one, though, where I was, like I said, half in, half out, was very much like, okay, I'm gonna have you slowly walk down these stairs, and there's a doorway, and we're going to count down. Now you're on the 10th stair. Now you're on the 9th stair, whatever. And then it's like, when you walk through that doorway, what do you see? It wasn't like, oh, this is what's around you. Do you see this? It was very much, what do you see? And there was some points during that regression where I didn't see anything. I don't see anything, but I feel something, right? Okay, what does it feel like? Does it feel like this or this? Does it feel like this? No, it kind of feels like this. Okay, so let's work with that. You're in a room. This is what it feels like. So it was very much relied on my experience of what I was feeling and seeing, less on the suggestive part of it. The other one, like I said, I remember the first one I had. I remember doing the countdown. I remember being on a train. I remember looking at a newspaper to try to get an idea of like the year and where I was. And then I remember the person dying in my arms, and that's it. That's all I remember. So it wasn't scary for me, but yeah, I'm sure I have heard of people doing readings where the person is getting visuals as they're helping you regress, and then telling the person, this is what I'm seeing, almost like a remote viewing in a way. And I think when that happens, how can you fully trust, but at the same time, how is it any different than trusting what we see when we channel or do readings? Or the only way you can tell is by the validation of the other person, really, right?
Well, right. Exactly. And that's one of the things, like when it comes to, well, at least the type of tarot readings that I do, right? Like, and I always try to remind people when I'm doing their readings, like, I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I'm not attempting to try to get you to reveal bits of yourself so that I can claim it as some sort of psychic knowledge of my own, right? Like, I'm not attempting to perform a quote unquote psychic reading. I'm trying to help interpret the cards in a meaningful way based on what you are currently experiencing in your life to help you make choices moving forward, right? So for me, it's a little bit different because I base my spirituality, like, and I do past life readings. Everybody loves the past life readings too on stream. That's like everybody's favorite, is to get past life readings. And I do past life readings, but I also do past life readings with the added caveat, that I am a quantum spiritualist. I believe, that time is infinite. It's all at once. It's everything that possibly can and will happen has already happened and is currently happening.
Yeah.
And time is not linear, that it's all stacked on top of each other. So like, we talk a little bit about these sort of more like quantum ideas when it comes to this. But, there's the mainstream understanding of time and the way time works. And you also have to be a subscriber to that idea of time to follow past life regressions in that way. Right. And I think for me too, just because of how I view like time and space and dimensions and parallel universes and consciousness and our place inside of it, I just see that in a different way, I think, than some other people do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, the point is valid though. I mean, it's always based on the confirmation of the person you're doing the reading
Yeah.
for. You don't know that your reading is valid until
Right.
they come back and confirm it. Like, oh my God, that reading, like your wife did for me
Yeah.
today,
Right.
you know, to have her come and just be like, look, that reading you did, like
Mm-hmm.
this is the proof of that reading that's
Yeah.
happening in my life right now. And that's like, as a reader, as a spiritualist, as a guide,
Yeah.
those are the moments I live for.
Oh yeah, that's the thing that scratches the itch of why you do it, really, right? Is like,
Mhm.
oh, this actually happened. Even if you have like the utmost confidence in what you're doing and what you're saying, I have a feeling you're a lot like me. Like I know the way the universe works. I know that the information I give is good. But every time I get confirmation of the way the universe works, or that something I said helped, or that it turned out the way that I said it would, I get giddy about it. It could happen a
Mhm.
million times. It does not matter. I'll get giddy about it every single time because it's like coming from a place of joy, and it gives me joy every time.
Agreed.
Um, so yeah, I mean, lately with the cards I've been pulling and stuff that I've been telling people. So like, I've been telling people, listen, I might not pull a card at all. It just depends on how I feel and what I'm drawn to. And so I've been doing intuitive advice on my streams with different things. And sometimes it's literally stuff that I can just pull from my experience, and I don't need to channel anything down. Nothing comes to me, or I don't need to pull a card necessarily. Um,
Mhm.
but sometimes I do after we have the conversation that I have, and it has always reinforced what I just said. And,
Mhm.
I think, like you've said this on stream before, I don't need the cards. The cards are for you, right?
Yeah.
Like you're getting the information way in advance before you even pull the cards. And that's exactly what's happening to me as well.
It's
Um,
very rare that the cards surprise me.
yeah,
Like going into a reading,
right,
like once I've gotten the information that I needed to get
right,
from somebody, like the messages are already coming. And for
right.
me, whether that's their guides, whether that's source, whether that's universe, whether that's deities, whatever it is that person believes in, their ancestors, their, family members that are just on the other side of the veil, whatever it is for them, that they're connecting to and sending those messages. So often they're coming through loud and clear.
Mm-hmm. How does
It's
that, like, describe how that feels though? Because I don't think many people, if people who aren't used to doing that, like, how
uh-huh.
does that feel for you? Because I'm sure it's different for me too. Like, what is that like when you get those messages and you hear those things? Is it your voice that you hear? Is it a voice that sounds like you, but you know that it's not? You can just feel the difference. Like, how does when you channel, what is that experience like as a person for you?
So it's really like it depends. A lot of the times, like I've noticed, especially lately, when I do, for example, the past life readings, what's been happening a lot lately, and this is actually, I've opened something that I'm not quite sure what I've opened, and I'm actually kind of glad that I have, because
Yeah.
it's been really kind of fun to explore this, and
Hmm.
to kind of see this side. But like what's been happening lately with the past life regressions is it'll typically start with some type of an audio that I'll hear, whether for example, one of the audios that was kind of coming in my ears on a past life regression reading the other day
Hmm.
um, was this marketplace. And it was like I could place the accents, I could, just from hearing the accents and what was happening and the sounds that were being exchanged in this like marketplace, then I started piecing together like visuals, and I was able to see that this was like a bazaar,
Hmm.
right? Like an ancient bazaar, like market with
Like a world
spices.
fair kind of thing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
right. And I was able to place this person in their past life, based on these cues. And when the cards came out, the cards were just confirmation of what I was
Right.
already feeling. So, like the first card that popped out, I was using the Lenormand, the Sagano Lenormand deck.
Hmm.
And the first image that popped out that in that particular spread was like, who were you?
Hmm.
And it was a snake that popped up in the reverse position. So then I started seeing like a snake charmer and hearing like that flu, right? And I knew that the past life wasn't the snake. Like this person
Hmm.
wasn't the snake. They weren't the snake charmer. It was just in the market. So it was like, then all of a sudden I was standing in the market,
Hmm.
and kind of like, in a video game, how you can control the camera, like you're
Yeah.
not really going
Like
anywhere, but
panning
you
around.
yeah, so I could
Yeah.
like kind of like control the camera of the situation, and it was like, ooh, zone in on this one, this one's highlighted, let's go see what's going on down there. And it's weird.
Was it like India, Arabia kind of?
Yeah, like Arabian Nights. Like
Yeah.
we went on this whole, like, I was trying to explain it. Like felt like this person looked like the Sultan, but had Jafar energy.
Okay.
Like, so it was like we were definitely going on this like Arabian Nights kind of journey with it, but it was very much like that.
Yeah.
Like the monkey could have probably been running around somewhere. I don't
Right.
know. But like what happens for me a lot is I don't necessarily always hear words. I almost never hear words. I almost always have to decipher some other feeling and interpret it into words, interpret it into English.
Okay.
I get a lot of clairaudience. I've always worked with energy. I can feel and hear and sense changes in energy. I get a lot of clairsentience, clairgustinance, which is like taste.
Yeah, I get a lot of taste as well.
Yeah, I experience a lot of things through my senses, and it's weird. Songs will play.
Yeah, I get that
like,
too.
Songs will play. Like all of a sudden a song will play and I'll be like, I don't know if this makes any sense to you. And I'll say the lyrics to the song or like attempt to sing it in my terrible voice. And all of a sudden in the chat or in a private reading, they'll be like, oh my God, that relates to da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, there you go. I'm like, so it's kind of a strange feeling. And I don't think I ever noticed or paid attention to the feelings when I was doing the readings for myself. For me, it just felt like, oh, this is what everybody experiences. This is like memories. This is, you know what I mean? This is like what's inside of your brain. It wasn't until I started doing readings consistently for other people, and especially until coming to like Twitch and doing them as frequently. Like I've never in my life, since in the last 8 months that I've been on Twitch, I've never done consistently this many tarot readings back to back 5 days a week. You know, like I am just honing my skills. Like this is just like, this is boot camp for me. This is like intensive fucking training, like honing my skills. And I can feel them getting stronger and stronger and stronger through this process.
Yeah, that connection.
Yeah. And so I've never had to analyze it. And now I'm in this position where like I come on podcasts or I'm showing up in other people's streams or inviting other people to my streams. And we're having these conversations where now I'm having to analyze it, and I'm analyzing it in real time, like as it's happening. It's like asking somebody in like, I don't know, like FBI espionage spy camp. So what does it feel like when you learn how to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just
happens. Yeah.
What does it feel like for you?
It's weird because I'm just sort of really paying attention to this more recently. Like I'm an overthinker. I'm an overanalyzer. So I'm always, my brain's always going, right? And what I've noticed, because it's sort of new to me, right? I've always gotten messages, but never did I really focus on getting messages for other people. I would get messages as I was talking to somebody and then use that. Like I do this now when I'm helping somebody with their business. I'll get ideas that pop into my head on things that they could try or do, and I'll bring them up. And a lot of times I know that it's channeled, right? And it's like, it kind of sounds like me, like I think it, like, oh, this would be boom, and I just say it. But I know that it sounds like me, it's coming from me, but it's not me either. You know what I mean? And I really actually think that it's just pulling it down from my higher self. So, you know, when you were talking about like boot camp and learning and things, I'm a firm believer that although we're here to learn and gain experiences in the 3D, when it comes to tapping into our gifts and our spirituality, that we're just pulling down more of those pieces of ourself and remembering them, not necessarily acquiring that knowledge new, because we have all knowledge from the beginning, right? And so like the way that I've compared it to a lot of people and tried to explain it is, you know, those plasma balls, that the glass balls that you touch?
Oh yeah. I just
little
bought one
beams?
of those and unboxed it on stream and shocked myself in front of everybody.
This is a great metaphor, and it'd be interesting for you to use it if you like it. But I look at it as, so imagine source being the center of that ball, and then all those beams coming off it is like us, and we're connected to source all the time like that. But then also, because of the way that things are cyclic, and that they you know, when you hear like as above, so as below, and as below, so
Mhm.
above, because things are the same, then I feel like that's how we are too. So when you look at that source in the center, and there's all these beams coming out, those could be every one of those little touch points that hits the glass from the center could be an experience that we're having at the same moment in multiple realities all at once. And sometimes you're just pulling from those other pieces down to that particular one that you're conscious in at the moment to like
Mhm.
pull those gifts and pull that information and pull. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh no, I know this quantum entanglement.
Right. And
Yeah.
so I highly believe that. And
Mhm.
so it's like, are the messages, that I'm getting when I do that, are they coming from me? Are they coming from guides? Are they coming from their guides? I don't know. I just know that sometimes I get information that I feel is coming from me, but I can tell the difference between like a 3D thought that I'm having and
Mhm.
something that's outside of that experience, right? Now,
Oh yeah.
when I have been getting mediumship stuff, which is new to me as well. I've always had it, but I've never honed it, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, it's more of a feeling. Like I have a feeling about something that I then, like you said, like transcribe it into a thought. Um, and so yeah, I just get like vibes. I had someone the other day that in the middle of pulling cards for them about something completely unrelated, I said, I feel like I'm like, "Did you have, like, a grandparent you were really close to or something?" And it was just out of left field, but I felt like I had to say it, and they said, "No, none of my grandparents passed." And I said, "Did you have somebody that was close to you, though, like a neighbor or a coworker or somebody who's older who, like, gave you advice that you talked to and connected with?" And they didn't answer for a minute, and then they finally did because they were weirded out,
Uh-huh.
and they said, "Yeah, my neighbor passed away, and I used to just grab a beer and go sit over when he was in his garden and just hang out and talk, and I really, really miss him." And I was like,
Mhm.
"Well, he's saying hi." And I said, "And I feel like you need to maybe grab a beer and go out into your yard and just kind of hang out and get your hands in the dirt, and that would be a way of connecting with him, that he would love is just for you to get back outside. Like you need to get outside more." And it's just what I felt and I verbalized it and, reached out to me and said, yeah, I'm absolutely going to do that. Another time, um, there was someone that came in last week, I think, and I had mentioned something about a grandmother. And she said, yeah, my grandmother had passed away. And I said, well, do you see butterflies around you frequently? No, never. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I feel like she shows up as butterflies. Well, I don't ever see butterflies. Okay. Then literally the next morning, I shit you not, an hour after I got off the phone, I went outside and there was like 10 butterflies all around, like all around me. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like I just, that's just what I got. And again, it wasn't like I heard something that said butterflies. It just came out. I don't even know,
Mhm.
so,
I know
um,
that all too well. That's like the curse though, because like, sorry to interrupt you, but
no,
like
you're not interrupting at all.
it totally made me think of like, okay, so sidebar
Yeah.
super fast, we know that I have dissociative disorder. I've talked about this on my stream before. So alongside dissociative disorder is dissociative amnesia. So there are times where like boom, I just dissociate from reality, right? But then there's also times where I know I'm fully aware that I'm fully conscious in this moment and I have not dissociated. However, there is a flow of consciousness like a conduit, like electricity, like that plasma ball, right?
Yeah.
That's flowing through from source or consciousness or universe or whatever you want to call it, that's flowing so fast through me that I don't have time to think the thought before the thought has already
Yep.
been made real into existence by the sound of my voice. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
I
It's
do.
like as it comes out, I'm like, wait, what did I just say? And thank God I have chat to remind me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's the thing is I think is the way that we work or whatever, I think that you're right. I think we process things so quickly, that, yeah, you don't even have time to make sense of it. It just comes. It's like channeling verbal diarrhea. Like it just comes out, right?
It's the most awkward thing. Do you ever? Okay, I have a question though. Okay, so
Uh,
as a fellow reader, as a fellow intuitive,
yeah.
this is a hard part for me because I have people who come back constantly,
Mm-hmm.
consistently. Even still, there are major parts of like their readings, their stories that there's no possible way I can remember every message that's come through. And like
Sure.
people would be like, remember you did a reading for me, you know, a
Yeah.
few months back and you said blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, vaguely.
Yeah.
Do you remember every reading that you do? Do you remember every piece of information that you've delivered?
No, but I do try to make like a conscious effort to try to retain the big pieces that I can remember that came through. But there's no way that I can remember. I'm so interesting enough that you say that, and whether this is true or not, I don't know. But they say people who can only remember like what they need in order to do X, Y, and Z, and don't have like long term, memory sometimes, or even short term, like it just dumps it, and then like this is the new thing I need to worry about, and then dump that, is supposedly a sign of genius. I have no idea. Maybe we're all geniuses, but I literally have barely enough room to just function. And so, yeah, I tend to dump things. That's what made me great about the information security thing. People would tell me a password and I would type it and do something. And about 45 seconds later, it would need the password again. And I'd go, can you type that in again? And they're like, I just told it to you. And I'm like, yeah, no, I've trained my brain to just dump it because I'm not supposed to remember passwords. And so I've trained my brain to just dump them. I literally 30 seconds later, I won't, unless I force myself consciously to be like, I don't want to ask this person. So like, remember this for a minute. I will just natively just dump it. So yeah, there's been some things, but here's the thing. I don't get that many people, right? My stream is very, very small. I don't get that many people. So right now it's fairly easy for me to remember a couple major things about them. And I'll usually say like, oh yeah, you're like, you work in this place, right? And either I'm right or I'm not. And if I'm not, they're going to tell me. And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry about that. Like it's hard for me to remember. Nothing, nothing personal. It's just hard for me to remember.
Yeah, there's no
And
possible way. Yeah.
no, and but I do try to make it a point to remember, at least a couple things. But if you're like the way that you're doing reading so often, no way. I'm usually catering to like maybe 3 people a day, and sometimes it's the same people day after day. So
yeah.
But I will say that with the exception of one person, which then I shuffled and pulled a couple more cards, and they were like, yeah, that's more like, that sounds more like me. I was like, okay. With the exception of that, I mean, almost everything that I've done, they've been like, that's bang on. And I'm like, sweet. I'm like, we're doing good. Like if you get something
love the
from
confirmation.
yeah, I'm like, that's awesome. So it's been good. But yeah, I've had people that have come back, and I tell people, listen, I want to know what happens. Like if you go and you do this thing, per my suggestion, like please let me know what happens. I do care. I want to know. And yeah, you might have to remind me of it when you come back, but I do legitimately care, right? So that's been nice to get that confirmation from people that are like, yeah, I totally, a really big one. Hold on. I just scared the shit out of my cat.
No worries. I can see my headphones blinking. We're gonna go until they die.
Okay.
They'll die eventually, but
yeah, that's fine. My buddy Phil, who I met in a game called Ultima Online a number of years ago, he's been a good friend of mine forever. He's not into like the cards or the spiritual stuff, but the one day he's like, can you pull cards for me for something? And I said, sure. And he goes, am I going to get a promotion? And so I pulled cards out of the Golden Girls tarot deck. Right. Yes. Is the only tarot deck I have on my desk. Everything else is Oracle stuff.
I'm so excited about that.
So I pulled out a card, and it had oh god, what is their name? Sophia?
Oh yes.
Sophia had Sophia like holding, a bunch of pentacles, and then the second card that came out was Blanche holding one big one, and she was looking at it like a mirror. She's like, I'm sexy, bitch, like admiring herself. And I said, I'm like, you still work at the Japanese manufacturing place, right? Toyota. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, first of all, this is just a fact. If you're a white dude in management that works in a Japanese manufacturing place, it is almost impossible to get promoted, right? And I said, so I don't doubt that you've been putting in the work, but it's very hard to get promoted. And I said, but I think that you're going to get a raise of some kind, and it's going to be pretty significant, because she's just like admiring it, like, oh my God, it was like Golem with the ring, you know? And so then I said, I do think you're going to get an increase. And I said, and possibly a bonus, just because of how big this is. It's like, I mean, it's the size of her head, you know?
Yeah.
So then he comes back a week later and says, you're never gonna believe this. And I said, what? And he goes, I did not get a promotion. And he goes, and I got a raise last year, and no one else is really getting raises right now. He's like, but I got a 5% base increase, and I also got a $53,000 bonus check.
Oh, fuck.
And I was like, holy shit. Because that was the first like major thing, like life-changing thing that I said to somebody that I got confirmation on. Not something small, yeah, right? Like, oh, I saw this little, like, I saw a ladybug and you said I'm going to see ladybugs. Like, it was like, holy fuck, like, that's life-changing money right there. And it was so cool though. I was like, dude, I'm so happy for you, because it's going to make a big difference in his family situation. And I said, make sure, if you can, that you can give some of that back out, because the universe just like blessed you in a huge way. And I said, so if you're able to take some of that and give back, I said, please do that, you know? It was so cool. I mean, that was like really the first and most major thing that have come through. And I was like, well, you can thank Sophia and Blanche, because the cards are hilarious, you know?
I know, that deck is awesome.
I mean, look at the, hold on. Look at the Page of Wands.
Fucking love her.
It's hilarious.
Oh my God. How much do you love the Golden Girls? How can you not love the Golden Girls?
This is my wife's deck, and this, oh my God, here's the card right here. That's funny. I'm talking about her and she pops up. Look. It's like, yeah, bitch.
Look at her. Oh, she's
look so how good sweet. I look in my pantsuit.
I know, right? Look at my pantsuit with my shoulder pads.
My wife watches Golden Girls every night when she goes to sleep, every single night.
Oh my God, I love that.
So it's her deck, and I just happened to have it here and was like, I really don't know how to read tarot cards, to be honest with you. I just look at the imagery and I either get stuff or I don't, and it may not even line up with the tarot cards and whatsoever, which is why I usually don't pull them, because I can read oracle cards perfectly fine. You know, and I really don't have any interest in diving into tarot, to be honest with you.
Well, here's the thing though. I mean, it's a divinational tool.
Right.
It's meant for you to be able to follow, to spark something, right? So if you, I mean, honestly, when I look at the cards, I know most of the canonical meanings, you know, of most of the decks, right? Like, I haven't fully committed all of them to memory, because I don't want to give memorized readings. I don't want to give the type of readings where it's like, okay, well, this is the Justice card. The Justice card means that you are having imbalance in your life, or you need more balance, or maybe you're having legal, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like to give like base kind of readings like that. I'll look at, and sometimes I'll just pick up on a color. Sometimes I'll just pick up on one central figure. Sometimes it really won't be anything in that card at all. It's just, right? Like, it's not always about those like canonical meanings of the tarot cards. And I think that sometimes people are so afraid, and we're really in this like culture right now where everybody's kind of like telling everybody the right ways and the wrong ways to do everything, you know, and everybody's claiming, you know, that they're the ones that know best. And I don't know, like when it comes to tarot, I see things on like TikTok, I see things on like Instagram and YouTube that are so problematic. Just like spiritual gatekeeping in so many ways.
I have to chuckle because I was just playing with the Rebel deck cards as you were saying that last couple sentences, and a card fell out. Do you want to see what it says?
Of course I do. What's it say? Drop the fucking ego. I mean, really. Vulnerability is hot as fuck. That's right.
But you literally were just saying that like all these people are on there, like basically coming from a place of ego, right?
Oh yeah, with like,
and that's what fell out of the deck.
Yeah, more spiritual than thou, more woke than thou,
Hate that.
more
Hate
connected
that
than
so
thou.
much.
It's like everybody's on their own journey in their own way. And as long as you're doing no harm to yourself and
Yeah.
no harm to the people around you, and you're leaving yourself, everyone, the world better than when you found it, I feel like you're doing good things. I don't care if you worship the flying spaghetti monster. Humanity, yes, give back, do good shit for humanity, yes. That's all you need to be doing in your life.
This
Ask
is
yourself if you're doing that. If you're not doing that, redirect.
when
Shift course.
I've been streaming and stuff, a lot of it I've just been having conversations with people, and as I've been having conversations, I'll do this. I'll just shuffle, and the shit that falls out at the most appropriate times is I'm not surprised by it, but it's so funny. And I'm like, ironically, here's this card that says this, you know? Um, and it's just been really cool. You know, it's been a cool experience to do. But like, you know, I've been trying to lean more on the intuitive stuff because I don't necessarily want to become known as a card reader because
Mm-hmm.
I'm really not. I mean, I'm into cards and I'm being pushed in that direction where I'm pulling cards, but I don't want it to just feel like you probably can relate to this a lot. In
Mm-hmm.
some ways, right? When you're a card reader, I feel like card reading becomes the one night stand of like spirituality where like people come in and it's like wham bam thank you ma'am and you get your card and you never hear from them again. And
And that was, yeah.
I want to build like relationships and connections with people long term because I enjoy interacting, you know, with people, and I truly do care. Like, you know, you were talking about the competition thing and all that, and um I have decided like pretty early on that because this isn't something that's providing a living for me, that
Mm-hmm.
I have the freedom to just not really care and
Mm-hmm.
just do it 1,000% open. And almost every single person that's come on the stream, I'm like, you know, if they say like, oh, you know, I stream this or that, I'm like, sweet, and I give them a shout out. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
you do that a lot of times too, because I don't care, and
Right.
I truly believe that there's enough audience and enough money and enough abundance out there that it doesn't matter. Everybody can be successful, and I really truly believe that, and I want to prove it to people too
Mm-hmm.
by doing what I'm doing. And you know, unrelated to this, um, you know, and so yeah, I've been running into just a lot of people who are just really, really scared. I think to have that threatened, and it's like if you just trust that you'll be taken care of and you just be yourself, it will come. It may not come in the time frame that you want it to, but it will come. And when it
Mm-hmm.
does finally come, when it's the universe's time to hand it to you, it will be 10 times better and 10 times more than what you expected. But you have to be patient enough to wait for it, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I tell people all the time, like, this is I don't know if this is shitty, you tell me, but like some people have been, you know, uh, tipping or like subbing, and I'm like, listen, I totally appreciate it. It's not expected, and I'm like, but I literally financially, I'm very well off. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
there's a smaller streamer that you want to like contribute to instead of me, please go give them money. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and and I say like I don't want to sound ungrateful because it's not it at all. I'm just saying that if you're doing it because you appreciate me, that's awesome. But literally, a thank you is more than enough, and I don't expect it. Like I would rather have somebody literally go to anybody else and help them
Mm-hmm.
than help me because I don't need it. You know what I mean? Now,
Yeah.
I do take that and literally give it away, like almost
Well,
immediately.
there
But
you
still,
go.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Um,
I think just like making that like just clear, you know, just saying like, hey, any money that you give to me is just money that I'm gonna take and I'm gonna go support. And then, you know,
and I do,
when you go on your raid,
right?
you just, you know, you drop that and show that, right?
Right.
Like you live that example
Mhm.
because I think a lot of people it's like they hear it, but I don't know if they believe it. And I think a lot of people hear the message of, you know, the way up is to lift everybody else up. Like I've always heard of the monkey up theory. I don't know if you know the monkey up theory,
I don't.
but the monkey up theory is basically, you remember those like barrel of monkeys? If you're like
Oh
a
yeah,
90s
the arms
kid,
that hook on. Yeah.
yeah, like, right. So as you hook up to the top, you're supposed to grab somebody else from underneath of you, and they're supposed to, and you're just supposed to like monkey chain, right? Like monkey up. As one monkey goes up, they pull the next one up. Like, and if you're not doing that, like I was talking to your wife today, like if you're not training somebody to be a replacement, to take the position that you are in, that is the position you will always stay in.
Yeah, right.
You because you can't leave until there's somebody else to, like, just like the ascended masters, right? Like you can't ascend, you can't leave, you can't do your next duty in life until there's somebody ready, poised to take your place.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like, and that's just the way that it works. And if you try to skip over that, if you try to skip over the people ahead of you, typically your foundation is not strong and you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't pull anyone up with you, then you have no support system, nobody feeding into you from the bottom up. Right. Like, so it's a whole ecosystem. Yeah. And I think that people are really afraid of that, because I think that people are so insecure and they're so afraid. And we're in this time of like uncertainty. Like I live, like I'm not well off, right? Like I'm very much the opposite. I'm on the very much opposite end of the financial spectrum. Like I came to streaming out of, I need to survive. What do I have to offer to the universe? Like, what is the universe calling me to do right now, where it will invest other people so much in what I'm doing that they will help to ensure that I survive this time. Yeah. And that's what drew me to streaming, right? Like, whereas your calling is also to spread a message, right? Like, you don't have anything financially at stake.
I don't.
Whereas as you acknowledge, you know, there are other streamers, there are smaller streamers, there are even bigger streamers where, like, you know, if they have a bad month,
right,
they're kind of fucked, you know? So it's important to learn like how you use your money in these circles, right? Because there's always going to be those people who can offer it for free, you know, like, and there's lots of spiritualists who preach, you know, like spirituality is meant to be for free. It's not meant to be charged for. It's something you're supposed to give away. It's something you're supposed to offer freely. And I believe in that from the bottom of my being. And the moment I get my community to a place where it's self-sustaining, I will happily do that. Right. But it requires a self-sustaining source of income. It requires something to keep a roof over its head. It requires something to cover the overhead. You know what I mean? Like, I don't live in, like, you know, Mesopotamia, where, you know, in ancient Mesopotamia, where I can walk around with my air Jesuses and preach the gospel, you know, like I've got to function in a material world in a capitalistic society. I have to have a livelihood. I'm not asking to fly in a Lear jet. I'm not making people pay $5,000 for weekend getaways. I'm like, hey, can I get $5 and Twitch can take $250?
Right. You're like that guy. Was it in Living Color where the guy would be like, you know, yeah, this thing is like whatever, $100, and he's like, how about I give you $3.50 and a burger? Like, right? Yeah, I can't remember what the hell that show is, but
no, I think that was Friday.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like that's the thing too, is I've always looked at it as like everything is an energy exchange, right? And so you're giving your energy, which you know presents as gifts of divinity and advice and life experience and all these things, and other people are giving you energy back that happens to be in the form of currency, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's still an exchange regardless, right? And so once I kind of started looking at things like that, is every interaction is a transaction in some form of energy, then it really helped me to change the way I look at things like that, right? Because I'm the type of person, you know, I used to be the type of person that, you know, I would get stuck and rooted in so many 3D concepts that really at the end of the day, I mean, they shape our reality here, but in the grand scheme of things, they're not important. They're really not. You know?
But it's
they're the rules,
that mindset though is like, it's one of those mindsets where you find yourself kind of like falling into the 3D trap and then having to go, wait, this isn't real, this isn't real, and then back into, you know, and there's those cycles of like those things that try to tether you back down into the 3D, like, no, come back to the dark side, something dark side. Black Friday, Christmas special, 50% off. You need the
Right.
new iPhone. You got to have the best house. You got to drive the best car. Make sure your kids go to the best school, go to the best university. You know what I mean? Like there's all of these things that tie you to that 3D, right? So like you're functioning in a 3D world with almost an infinitely dimensional spirit energy source, like constantly functioning and flowing into you. And like, that's what that spiritual awakening starts to do. And it really starts to fuck with people because once you open that, right? Like
you can't close it.
No, it just keeps getting wider and wider and wider.
There's probably like a fancy word for this and you might know it, but you know,
I might, or not.
Lower vibration energy can never overtake higher vibration once you're there, right? Correct? Higher always beats out lower, I guess. Is what I heard. Like as you move up and you open, you're vibrating at a higher frequency. Yeah, you could choose to lower your frequency, right? But if you don't, I'm saying, you know, nothing can really penetrate that because it's just stronger, right?
Yeah, that's Care Bear stare.
If that makes sense, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's Care Bear stare energy all day.
That's like literally, I'm not kidding. That's why from the very beginning, I was like, I will not get COVID. I don't believe I will get COVID. And because I convinced myself in my mind that I could keep my vibrational energy high enough at all times, and whether I could or not, it didn't matter because I was like, I'm gonna fucking do it. You know what I mean?
I'm like, we're getting into real controversial territory here.
We are, but like I was very convinced, like, and you know, knock on wood, I haven't had any issues, but I was like, I'm just not going to. Like, I'm just not going to get it. And I haven't. As far as I know, I haven't.
As far as I know.
Right. Now, I got fucking allergies and a sinus infection like you wouldn't fucking believe. but not COVID.
See, what's funny though is on the opposite end of that spectrum. I'm somebody who suffers from medical and health anxiety because I do have chronic illnesses and because I've struggled with health for a long part of my life. And
you had cancer as well, right? Yeah. So you've had like immunocompromised stuff.
Exactly. So, you know, there's, you know, and I still suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome. I still deal with all sorts of chronic, invisible and all of this, right? So in my mind, I was convinced I'm getting COVID. It's going to happen. This is going to be the thing that kills me. Like every little ache and pain, every symptom, completely like, you know, doom scrolling, obsessed with the fact like I'm going to get COVID. I didn't get it. Haven't, knock on wood, have not gotten it yet. But I cannot attribute that to my naturally high vibes and high energy because when it comes to my health, that's a very high anxiety. That's very triggering. It's very much something that brings out the lowest vibrations, right? Like it brings out all of the doubt. It definitely puts me back in the 3D because I recognize that this meat sack needs to keep going. Right? Like I've got to keep this meat sack going as long as I can so that I can serve whatever higher purpose I'm meant to be here. And if the meat sack gives out on me, fuck, I got to start over. I'm not ready to hit the reset button on this game, you guys. I have cleared too many levels. I have gotten too many bags. I have too much loot. I'm not giving it up. And by loot, I mean experience because other than these rainbow pillows behind me, there's not much else to it.
You've seen the Matrix, I assume, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
There's like, when you were just saying that, there's a small part of me that went to the part where Agent Smith, it has like Morpheus tied to the chair and he's all like sweaty and stuff. And he's like, basically when you said meat suit, and he was like, you know, he's like, you humans, I hate the smell of it. I hate that. Like, he's like, I'm stuck in this body and I hate it because it smells gross and it's rotting and like all this shit. And like my brain just totally squirreled to that moment. And I'm like,
not wrong though.
You're like, Agent Smith wasn't a bad guy. He was just misunderstood. It's fine.
He was probably hungry. I never saw the man eat the entire movie. First of all, someone give the man a veggie burger. He's hungry. Okay, he's got to feed that decaying meat sack that he's inside of.
So I have a feeling that your headset's going to die in the middle of this. But
yeah, can you see it?
talking about like fear and how that messes with your immune system, all that stuff. I saw a post the other day, and I just thought it was interesting. Whether I agree with it or not doesn't matter. It's just interesting for conversation speak. Okay.
All right. Okay.
So year 2000, Y2K is going to destroy everything. It's the end of the world, right?
Okay.
2001, anthrax is going to kill us all. It's in the mail. It's in the envelopes. Oh my God, everyone's in a panic. And you'll probably remember these things, right?
Oh yeah, I'm old enough.
2002, West Nile virus is going to kill us all, right? 2003, SARS is going to kill us all. 2005, the bird flu is going to kill us all. 2006, E. coli is going to kill us all. 2008, financial collapse is going to kill us all. We're doomed.
I'll tell you, it
2009,
destroyed me though.
2009, swine flu. But here you are. Is going to
Right?
kill us all. 2012, the Mayan calendar predicts the world's going to end. We're all fucked. 2013, North Korea is going to cause World War III. Hasn't happened. 2014, Ebola virus is going to kill us all. 2005, ISIS is going to kill us all. 2016, the Zika virus is going to kill us all. 2020, the coronavirus is going to kill us all. And at the end, it says, the truth is, fear is going to kill you. Turn off the TV and wash your hands. And I read that and I'm like, there's a lot of controversy in that. And surely people have been affected by all of these things or whatever. But it just made me just really think about it. And I thought, that's the one thing about me that I've never been in that mindset. Like, even with Y2K, I remember that because I was an IT guy. I was just starting out in IT, right? And it was like, oh my God, I understand the implications of this and what it's going to cause. But we were fine before all the technology existed. We'll survive it, right? We've survived plagues. We've survived, meteors, dinosaurs, illnesses, whatever. We've been here a really long time, longer than recorded history even has track of, right? And whether science can prove it or will prove it or not, I think people who are intuitive know that we've been here longer than what's been recorded. None of these things have ever killed us. I also don't necessarily believe that it's possible that we could kill the planet either. I think the planet is a very strong thing. And I think it would kill us long before it would allow us to kill it.
Oh, that's the thing. I don't think we're worried about killing the planet.
No, we'll kill ourselves long before.
Yeah. We're humans are very much individualistically minded.
Yes.
They're very much arrogant and concerned with their own survival. No, the issue is not whether or not we're going to destroy the planet. Humans in general are kind of like locusts.
We're ants.
Yeah, like we're
not
a little
even
bit of
ants
a parasite.
cooperate way better than we do.
I'm just going to say it. Look, I believe there's some amazing, beautiful, gorgeous, amazing human beings with amazing starseed souls that are here to help heal the world and do great things. But I think that human evolution has gone in the wrong direction. And a lot of that is because our evolution has been trauma-based. Our evolution has been fear-based. Our evolution has been based in a money capitalistic gain, sort of like in a paradigm where money is more important than humans, right? Like our evolution is driven just in the wrong direction. We're one of we are the only species on the planet that can actively choose its own evolutionary path. Like how we design and create the physical world around us and how much we choose to cooperate with it or to play against it or to use it and abuse it, right? Like we are the species on the planet that has the ability to control our own evolution, right? And we are choosing to do it in the wrong direction, is my opinion. And this whole idea of fear, what does fear do? Fear is distracting. Fear is, first of all, it's a secondary emotion. Fear is not a primary emotion. Fear comes secondary to other emotions. So in order to elicit fear, you have to create scenarios of loss. You have to create scenarios of separatism. You have to create scenarios of fight for your own well-being at all costs, because it's even written in our laws, self-defense. You can pretty much do anything in self-defense. So as long as you're distracted, as long as you're stuck in fear, as long as you're worried about losing something, your life, a physical object, a person, whatever that is, you're distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're distracted and while you have all of this, you know, endorphins and adrenaline and cortisol and all of these other chemicals going through your brain, you can't think clearly. You can't communicate clearly. You're not calm. You're not open to receiving. You're in a defensive, you know, locked stance. So you're going to go off of what information you currently have, and you can't receive anything else. This is all planned, right? Like this. It's very easy to control people who are afraid. This is what religion does. This is what, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? It starts with
authoritarian.
Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't spit that word out. You know, that's what these types of, you know, dogmatic, fear-based type institutions will try to do. And teaching people how to remain calm in the face of fear, and recognizing that fear is again, it's a secondary emotion. Fear is an interpretation we put on emotions, typically excitement, that we haven't felt before or we don't know how to place. And I used to teach this to my dance students, not just my spiritual students. So like my dance students, adult dance students dancing, you know, ballroom dance, right? Getting terrified before going out on a competitive floor, and just reminding them that fear is just excitement that your body doesn't know what to do with. And as soon as you learn how to breathe through that fear and remain calm, Bruce Lee would say, be like water, be formless, be ready to form and adapt to anything that comes your way. And you will never be distracted by fear, right? It will never overtake calmness. So when you see all of those things, and it's so true, like, and it goes way back, far before that timeline even began. Like this is played out in history for eons. Fear is the easiest way to control people.
Yeah.
As soon as you take away their ability to communicate with each other and to respect each other because they're acting out of fear and out of self-preservation, you create an easily divisible group of people who you can manipulate, and you can get them to believe pretty much anything you want, because people, at the end of the day, we're all searching for the same thing. We're all searching for happiness. We're all searching for love. We're all searching for security. We're all searching for kindness. We all want the same things at the end of the day, right? Like, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But we've been fed all of these reasons to be scared, and all of these reasons to hate each other, and all of these reasons to point fingers and place blame. I don't know. That's just like when it comes fear, you know? Period.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I don't remember the exact quote, but someone told me something about, like, or said something to me once about fear being like misery porn or something. Where people just get addicted to it because it's like a stronger whatever it is that it fires in your brain is like a stronger signal than these other things, right?
Yeah, that's why people love horror movies. That's why people love haunted houses. It's why people like, you know, little jump scares. It's a quick rush. I mean,
I can't watch like Saw, like stuff where people get tortured and shit. I can't do it because I feel it. I empath off of it too hard. I can't do it. I can't
even watch, you know, like Rob Dyrdek when he had the show where like people get no, I can physically feel the pain as it's happening to them. I cannot watch those things. My body hurts.
The most irrational fear, okay, that has ever existed in my life is the fact that I live on a lake, which is actually literally impossible for a great white shark to exist in, okay? And even though the part of it that I go in is 8 foot deep and I could touch the bottom, that somehow I will get attacked by jaws.
All right.
Also, if I'm in the woods at night and it's dark, that Jason could be in there with a machete and he may be able to chase me no matter how fast I run. He can just take like 4 steps and he's right there. It does not matter that I know it's ridiculous and that it doesn't exist and that it's impossible. There's a little tiny part of my brain who saw those movies when I was a kid and could I can still feel that same feeling when I watched it. Same thing with Stephen King's It. When I watched it, I freaking hate clowns. You know, it makes no sense whatsoever, but it's like stored in my memory. And when I'm in those situations, there's a split part of me that goes, oh fuck. And then I'm like, wait, there's not sharks in the lake. But there is a part of me that is like, but what if there is? Right? Like, it's a real thing. The other thing is that I drowned a couple times, and
Well, there you go.
this is a very real one though. I've drowned a couple times, and I've had readers tell me in my mediumship, friend tell me that like I'm connected to a race of like blue ocean people and Poseidon, that have a lot of connection with Poseidon, and that they're trying to communicate with me, and I need to try to connect with them. And the last time that I really connected with them is when I drowned. And then I'm like, great. Now you understand why I don't like to be on open water, because there's a part of me, my brain, that goes, I'm going to have to drown in order to communicate with these people.
And drowning is a terrible fucking experience.
Listen, the one time that I remember drowning, I was at the YMCA when I was a kid. I went to a place called the Boys and Girls Club of America, which I don't even.
I was going to ask, do those still exist? Because I used to volunteer at Boys and Girls Club.
I don't know, and we'll save this for another podcast, but there's a small part of me that thinks that there was some nefarious shit going on at those places. But anyways, so I went to a Boys and Girls Club, and I was in the pool, and you know how when you're a kid and you can't swim, how you hang onto the side and go around the edges? So I'm doing that, and I get pulled off of the edge because somebody was doing the same thing, fell off, started to drown, grabbed my ankles, pulled me off the wall to use me as a way to get out and not drown, and I drowned instead. So I remember getting pulled off. I remember looking up and seeing the feet of the person above me. And then the next thing I remember is being on my back and puking water. But I was told that I've had so many near-death experiences in my life because it was the catalyst to rocket me forward in my spiritual connection. So when I was born, I died a lot as well because I was born. So I mean, it sounds ridiculously weird, but I'm not trying to be like a
no, and I don't mean to like laugh at it, but no, I'm just fine. Like, Jesus, how many times are you gonna die, dude? Like, stop.
Yeah, I know. Like it sounded almost like poetic or like philosophic when I said it. The day I was born was the day that I died. Right? But I was born like 12 weeks premature. I was 1 pound 13 ounces, and I died in the hospital many, many times. Like they had to keep starting my heart over and shit. And I was in an incubator for like 8 months before they released me. So I mean, my body has experienced a lot of shit.
Do you ever think though that like, all right, because you're like from the school, and I hope that my headphones don't die in the middle of this question because it's kind of a weird one. Yeah. And you like to talk about weird shit, so I'm just gonna ask you.
I love weird shit.
I'm just gonna ask you weird shit, and I'm gonna let you talk about weird shit.
Let's go.
Because look, I'm not gonna lie, like I'm a super spiritual person, and there are like my quantum spirituality makes people's head be like cookies. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, lady. Like weirdo. And there's some times where like every once in a while you say something, I'm like, I don't know about you.
That's
but
totally
I love
fine.
that. I love it because you challenge me. You force me to think about things.
Yeah.
So anyways, all right. So you're up here in the Akashic Records, whatever. You're hanging out with your spirit guides at fucking Star Wars Cantina, right? Like you're floating around in your consciousness, and you're like, hey, swipe right. I'm gonna pick a body. Okay.
Yep.
Let's say, for example, your spirit is like that one. And it's like going down, and it's like halfway down. It's like, wait a minute, I regret my choice. And it's like Control-Alt-Delete. And the doctors are like, nah, fuck it, shock. And they just keep bringing you back. And you're like, Control-Alt-Delete. Send me back. I made a mistake. Do you ever think that you made a mistake and that maybe your soul was trying to escape?
I think, especially early on, right? I think that I knew early on that I was going to go through a lot of shit that was going to be very difficult and be challenged in a lot of ways. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I really want to do this. Right. Like you got to understand, I'm the person who a lot of times will sign up for the hardest lessons that I possibly could learn because I know they produce the most growth. And that's my goal. I want to grow as much as I possibly can, but I put myself through a lot of unnecessary shit probably. Right. Because like almost out of stubbornness, to be honest with you. This is how the first time we went hiking, okay, me at 300 pounds, we go hiking and there's two paths. There's the hard path to hike and there's the small path. And the hard path, I thought, oh, it won't be that bad. It's fine. Right. It was 18 miles. Okay. Yeah. Never been hiking really before in my life. It was 18 miles. I dragged my family with me on the hike, okay?
Oh,
And I'm not kidding you. I'm shocked that I'm alive from it because it was that bad. Like, at a certain point, it was like an Indiana Jones movie where my son is like, "Dad, just jump and I'll grab you from, like, cliff to cliff," because it was that
no,
bad, right?
I'm stubborn.
And I'm like, "I'm an idiot. Why did I do this?" But you know what? When we got through it though, and I was, like, dead for days after that, right?
Oh, I believe it.
When I finished it, I was like, "Fuck yeah." Right? Like, I fucking did it. I didn't think I would make it. I have no idea how I made it. I really don't. And I was like, "But I fucking made it." You know what I mean?
But that's like everybody who does like the Ironman, the people who
Yeah.
do, the hardest triathlons,
Yeah.
decathlons. There's ones that are even harder than Ironman. I can't remember the name of them, but like there's people out there who do fucking Platinum Man. I don't know
Right.
what it's called. But they all say the same thing. It's
Yep.
not the physical journey that's the
It's the mental.
hardest.
Yeah.
It's the mental journey.
Absolutely.
It's convincing your mind that the limits you perceive do not
Right.
exist. Listen to Mean Girls and Lindsay Lohan when she
Yeah.
said it. The limit does not exist.
See, but that's the thing. My body's a
Mhm.
fucking wreck. But my mind is the fucking shit.
Yeah.
So I forced my body through it, right? Like, I mean, literally today, it was the first day that my wife and I just started getting back into our regimen and getting healthy again because I'm tired of feeling like shit. And
Mhm.
I'm like, I need my body to last long enough to do what I need to do. Um, but yeah, like, I if the only thing that I ever want to be the reason why I'm not able to do something is because I'm physically unable, not because I gave up, not because I couldn't mentally hack it, not because I couldn't emotionally hack it. Although I recognize that when I run into situations where that's the case, that's okay.
Mhm.
But my mindset is I don't want that to be the thing that stops me, right?
Mhm.
So I'm very driven, probably almost to a flaw in a way, right? Shit,
Mhm.
that's probably why I've died in so many lifetimes.
It might be.
300 versus 2, fuck it, we got this.
I'm just saying, it might be.
Like
It
one of those
might be.
comedies where, like, dude charges in the battle and, like, literally 3 seconds later takes an arrow and is just done. That's the bravest idiot I've ever seen. Yeah, yeah. That's the bravest idiot I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
I'm not front row. We're gonna
No.
take it right back to that. I think this is a good place. I can feel them dying. I
Yeah,
can feel the sound
yeah,
cutting out. So before we get deep into anything else, I feel like this is a good
that's
point.
fine.
Plus, I'm supposed to go to Dungeons and Dragons in like 28 minutes. So
Well, that's fine. That's good. I do want to at some point, I would love to try to loop if we can. I know we won't be able to reproduce it, but I'd love to try to loop back to, like, the first, like, 2 or 3 things that we talked about
yeah.
at some point and talk more about that. But, like, how we did this with no structure and just flowed, that's how I usually like to do them, and then I can
Okay.
come up with the stuff as we go.
It's fine for me.
Yeah,
I
I
do better
mean,
that way rather I don't do well with like interview like I can give
yeah,
you interview responses. Like
I don't like that.
I can give you what I think people
Yeah,
would want to hear,
yeah,
sound
yeah.
bites, shit like that, but I prefer not to.
No, it's like channeling. Whatever is
Yeah.
supposed to come out comes out during the conversation. Somebody's gonna take something from it, and like, this feels more organic and natural to me than trying to, like,
Mhm.
give a there's some people that ask me for, like, literally, I want a list of questions in advance that I can approve, and then but then it feels very robotic to
Yeah.
me,
No, if you ask me something I don't want to answer, I'll just tell you I don't want to answer it.
which is cool. Like,
Or I'll just answer it in a way that I know is safe. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like I'm pretty much open game and like feel free to ask about anything, like
yeah,
especially anything that you've heard me talk about
yeah,
on my streams or
yeah,
seen me write about in anything like I'm really an open book and honestly these are opportunities to dig deeper. These are
yeah,
opportunities for me to think about things that I
yeah,
wouldn't have thought about on my own,
yep,
which is one of the things that I appreciate about you because even though we don't have the same beliefs in everything,
right,
you can speak about what you believe in from a perspective of, like, this is what I believe, this is what I've
right,
experienced. It doesn't really have to go any further than that. You know what I mean? Like, what have
no,
you experienced? What's your life experience? And we can just
yeah.
like have those conversations because I think that that's something that people
It's how
like.
you learn. It's how
Well,
you
not
become
only, yeah,
accepting and how you
you
learn
just
and how you
right.
grow.
It's beyond tolerating other people, because I think we're at this place of like, oh, just tolerate, just tolerate, just tolerate. You don't have to tolerate. Like, you can learn to see things from somebody else's perspectives. And even if it's not your own, even if it makes no sense to you, you can go, okay, I can see how you got there. I can see how your life experiences brought you to that place with that, you know, in your mind. And I think that that's powerful. And I think that that's something people need to see.
I want to, like, I literally, if you're open for it at some point, I feel like I have like a 3-part like fucking podcast, because there's multiple things we could cover with you, and I would love to do more of it. But I want to end on a Kanye West quote, whether you like the guy or not.
No, I hate him, but
I know you do. No, I know you do.
What crazy guy has to say.
Right? But 2 things: the best parts of me are things that I've integrated from other people. Okay,
I can feel that.
Truly believe that.
Well, he's a narcissist, so that's how narcissists operate.
Well, something else that Kanye West said, though, is that everything I'm not made me everything that I am, which I think is a very philosophical, poetic thing to say. Like, I'm not an alcoholic. That's what I tell him. I say that. No, hold on.
And I see the bottle of Crown sitting right behind you.
That's been there for about 9 months. But anyways, do you get what I'm saying, though? Everything that I'm not made me everything that I am. So, like, I'm not my father's sins. I'm not my, you know what I mean? I think it's a powerful statement.
It is a powerful statement, regardless of who it came from, right? I mean,
I want to touch those couple things that we talked about initially and try to not necessarily even recreate, just talk about them in a different way, and whatever comes out, comes out. I want to eventually do something where we can dive more into like how we grew up and being from Ohio, and like this, and like your life experience and my life experience with things. And because I think that's a really like important part of your story. And then I really want to have one where we dive into actual, not just like the overview shit and the fluffy stuff, but really dive into metaphysics and actually the weird shit. Like you say weird shit. But
what do you consider the weird shit?
Weird shit to me is when you talk about how it's possible to be reincarnated as other species of aliens and other galaxies, not just as humans on Earth. That's stuff that most people hear, and some people are like, you know, I'm pretty comfortable with the idea of reincarnation. Then you go, what about being reincarnated as other things in other galaxies and other life forms? And they're like,
what about being reincarnated as a cardboard box?
Whatever.
I mean, is it not possible?
I mean, look, I don't know, right? So yeah, the weirder the better, actually.
I mean, I'm down for that. We can get weird into shit. I don't claim to know everything, right? Like, I just don't want to present myself as like, I have, you know, written 100 PhD papers on said topic. Like, I'm just somebody with a strong opinion.
I like to make people think. And I like to bring people outside of their box and make them think about things outside of what they're comfortable thinking about, because it's how I got to where I'm at, was listening to people and conversing with people that made me think outside of the box that I was sort of conditioned in, to the point where now I'm like, I don't have a fucking box, right?
Right.
I want to bring that experience to other people too. And the weirder, the better. Like, there's people out there who everybody says are weird. I want to weird them out. I don't know why I want to weird them out. I just do, kind of. So I don't know. I feel like I have a lot we could talk about, but thank you for taking the time and hanging out. And it was awesome. I love talking to you. You're super fun.
I know. I've missed you. I feel like I haven't got to talk to you guys in forever.
I've been so fucking busy.
I know. And my schedule's been for shit lately. So yeah,
you stream when I have to force myself to sleep is what it is. Like, right when I pop a melatonin, I'm like, Brandy's going to stream in like an hour. And 2 minutes later, I'm like,
yeah. Speaking of which, I need to go take a nap. I haven't been in bed yet.
Have fun at D&D.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Enjoy.
No sleep for the weary.
Yeah, get some sleep. I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye. Talk to you later.
Yep.